Jake hated night shifts, especially on Interstate 80. He had worked as a tow truck operator for nearly 7 years and had seen everything: crashes, dead bodies, drunk drivers, strange people wandering through the desert. But there was one reason the older drivers always refused calls after midnight. Mile 112, everyone simply called it the black stretch. No street lights, no gas stations, no signal, and far too many disappearances. That night, the rain came down in sheets. Jake sat in his tow truck outside a 24-hour gas station, drinking cold coffee and scrolling through his phone when the dispatcher suddenly came over the radio. "Jake, we've got an emergency call." "Where?" The radio went silent for a second. Mile 112, Jake closed his eyes. "You serious? There are no other trucks available. What happened?" "A woman called 911, said her car broke down. She's alone, terrified, and that's it." The connection cut out. Jake let out a heavy sigh. "All right, I'm heading out." 20 minutes later, he was driving down the empty highway. Rain hammered the windshield, so hard it sounded like rocks being thrown at the glass. The radio hissed with static. The GPS kept freezing. And the closer he got to mile 112, the stronger the strange feeling became. Like something was watching him. Finally, flashing hazard lights appeared ahead. A white sedan sat on the shoulder. One of the doors was open, but no body was there. Perfect. Jake parked behind the car and grabbed his flashlight. "Hey, anybody there?" Only rain answered him. He stepped closer. Inside the car was a phone. The screen was shattered. A woman's purse sat on the seat. The keys were still in the ignition, but the woman was gone. Then the flashlight caught something in the mud beside the road. Footprints, bare footprints leading toward the woods. Jake cursed under his breath. "Oh, hell no." He was about to call the police when he heard it. A sound, faint, crying. A woman crying somewhere in the darkness. "Help me." The voice came from deep among the trees. Jake froze. Every instinct screamed at him, "Don't go in there." But the voice cried again. "Please." He tightened his grip on the flashlight and slowly stepped into the forest. Mud squelched beneath his boots. Branches clawed at his jacket. The rain made it nearly impossible to see. "Hey, where are you?" No answer, only crying. And then, the flashlight caught a figure standing between the trees. A woman, she stood with her back to him. Long wet hair covered her face. Her white dress was stained with mud. "Ma'am," she didn't move. "Are you hurt?" Silence. Jake took another step. And then he noticed something wrong. Her legs, they were bent backward, as if her knees folded the wrong way. Ice crawled across his skin. The woman slowly began turning her head. Too slowly. With a cracking sound, like bones snapping. And when he finally saw her face, she had no eyes, only black empty sockets. And her mouth stretched into an enormous smile. "You came." Jake bolted backward. The flashlight slipped from his hand. He ran through the woods blindly, hearing branches snap behind him. She was chasing him, fast, far too fast. He burst out onto the highway, slammed the tow truck door shut, and jammed the key into the ignition. His hands shook so badly he could barely start the engine. The motor roared to life. And at that exact moment, something slammed onto the truck. Boom, the vehicle rocked violently. Then another hit, boom, as if something huge was crawling across the roof. Jake floored the gas pedal. The tow truck shot forward. But the impacts kept coming. Boom, boom, boom. He glanced in the mirror and felt the blood freeze in his veins. She was crawling across the roof of the truck. Her arms were too long. Her joints bent at impossible angles. And her empty eye sockets stared directly at him through the windshield. Jake screamed. The truck fishtailed across the wet highway. He barely kept control. Then suddenly, the radio crackled to life on its own. Through the static came an old man's voice. "Don't look at her." Jake gasped for breath. "What?" "Don't look into her eyes. Who is this? If you do, she stay with you." The woman suddenly slammed both hands against the windshield. A crack spread across the glass. Boom, another strike. The windshield was close to shattering. "How do I get rid of her?" The voice on the radio went silent for a moment, then quietly replied, "She's looking for someone to replace her." A chill shot down Jake's spine. What does that mean? But the signal died. The woman began laughing. A high, inhuman laugh filled the cab. Then the engine started choking. The headlights flickered. The gauges went wild. No, no, no. The truck suddenly died in the middle of the highway. Total darkness. Only rain and silence. The woman wasn't laughing anymore. Now he heard only scratching. Slow scratching against the door. Outside. Jake. He froze. Jake. Let me in. She knew his name. His heart pounded so hard he could barely think. Then, someone tapped on the window, softly. Tap. Tap, tap. He slowly turned his head and saw her face only inches from the glass. Her smile had grown even wider, and inside her mouth were human teeth. Hundreds of teeth. Far too many. She whispered, "I've waited so long." And the glass cracked. The next morning, police found the tow truck abandoned. The engine was still running. The driver's door was open. There was blood inside. But Jake's body was gone. Nothing was left. Only one strange detail. Written with a finger on the fogged-up window from the inside were the words, "He's with me now." The case was closed 3 months later. Officially, missing person, but among truck drivers, the story never died. They say that sometimes, late at night near mile 112, you can see an old tow truck parked on the shoulder of the road. And beside it stands a man, soaked, pale, with empty eyes. He raises a hand like he's asking for help. And if a driver stops, another passenger appears inside the car.